All right, good evening, everyone. I'm 10 Tampa Bay Chief Meteorologist Bobby Deskins here on our Thursday evening, just about 9 o'clock, 8:55, and tracking three systems out in the tropics, but really, obviously, everything is focusing now on Ida. Tropical Storm Ida formed this evening, and is now moving towards the northwest and headed towards the Gulf of Mexico, and looks like it has the real big opportunity to be a strong storm. So we'll talk about the other two just initially. You can see 97 is going to move out to the north and the east. It's way up there. And it looks like 98 will actually follow back behind that. So we're not worried at all about those systems. They should stay out into the Atlantic. But obviously we're going to be keeping a close eye on Tropical Storm Ida. Now recon went out there today. As a matter of fact, 5 o'clock update. At 5 p.m., they had it as a tropical depression still, Tropical Depression 9. But at 5:20, while recon was out there, they actually found winds of 40 miles per hour. 39 and up, it gets a name, and so they named it Tropical Storm Ida at 5:20 this afternoon. That's the value of having the recon in there. Not only that, but they're trying to find a low-level center as well. And you can see it doesn't necessarily match with the mid-level center. So it's not the most organized system at this particular point. And you can kind of see that here on the satellite and radar. We'll zoom in a little bit. And you see a lot of the convection is off to the north and the west. It's a little misleading. This shows it a little bit better, although we did lose the visible satellite, of course, from the sun going down. But basically, there is a low-level center underneath of there, but your eye kind of gets caught up into this area right up in here where you see a little bit of rotation there. So center somewhere right in here. By the way, that's Grand Cayman right there. Right? So, yeah, they're having to deal with another system coming by, although right now it's not terrible for them, right? So that's where we're at with it right now. Winds are at 40 miles per hour. It's moving to the northwest at 13 miles per hour, and the pressure is about 1,006. They've measured, I think, 1,005 out there earlier, but they're kind of going with central pressure there. And you can see that this is just cloud cover that I'm showing you here, and I've got it enhanced so you see the taller thunderstorms, right? The brighter reds there, those are colder cloud tops, so that's where we're seeing taller clouds because it just gets colder usually up there. But notice the high cloudiness, those storms fall apart, but look at all this high cloudiness coming in our direction. You see all this here coming up? As the storm goes like this, actually, let me take that back. The storm's going to go like this. These cloud tops are going to continue to fall in our direction. So we'll be seeing high clouds thinning in, moving in from the south, start thin, and then end up thickening up as we get into the afternoon tomorrow. Not as much rain associated with those, although we'll have a few showers around. But they're mainly high clouds more than anything else, and it'll actually help us out. I mean, got a little bit of a nice breeze out of the east-southeast and a little bit of cloud cover to help thin out the sunshine a little bit. That's going to be kind of nice for us here locally in Tampa. If you're watching from somewhere else, I am broadcasting out of Tampa, Florida. So let's take a look at the winds right now. These are current winds. We don't have a whole lot of data down here. But you can see that obviously the highest winds are right here to the north and east of the center. And a pretty good easterly wind at Key West right now at 18. They've had gusts in the 20s. Their wind will go up as we go through tomorrow, but nothing terrible for them either. So we'll expect to see this start to get a little bit better organized. Now, here's the forecast models. Hold on. Let me get you the tracker. I'm going to put that one in there for sure. Here's the track from the Hurricane Center. And you can see as we go out through, let me get it here. Tomorrow morning, 50 mile per hour winds. 60, I'll put my glasses on for that one, 65 mile per hour winds on Friday. 70 on Saturday. So it's getting really close by early Saturday morning to being a hurricane. Then there you go. You've got a hurricane now Saturday afternoon in the Central Gulf. Okay, and then it will continue to move. And look at this strengthening. All right, so now you're talking, let me put stop here. Now you're talking Cat 2 at 100 miles per hour by early Sunday morning. Cat 2 still by landfall is what this is saying by Sunday afternoon. Now, 110 mile per hour winds, that's the very top end of Cat 2. So 111 starts Cat 3. Cat 3 and up is considered a major hurricane. The intensity forecast is likely to change on this, right? But to see what it looks like, I don't expect a lot of shear. I'll show you that. There's a lot of warm water underneath this. We'll just have to see how this thing ramps up. The issue, though, if you're in that area, this certainly has the chance to ramp up to a major hurricane, a Cat 3 or higher. The Hurricane Center is going 110 right now. That's 1 mile per hour away from that. Now, I also want to point out here, notice how it's slowing down and turning a little bit here. Sunday morning, Monday morning's right in here, Monday afternoon, Tuesday. That's throwing all kinds of rain, especially by Sunday morning, really Sunday afternoon, into Louisiana, Mississippi, parts of Alabama. And that's Sunday afternoon, right? There's Monday afternoon, still raining. Still a lot of moisture coming up from the south there. So you're going to have a wind event, you're going to have a storm surge event, and then you're going to have a flooding from rainfall event on top of this as well too. And it doesn't look like it's going to be a Harvey where it sits there and just sits there for 4 or 5 days like Harvey did. I mean, look, here's what happens. Hurricanes rain. They bring rain. If you have a storm like Hurricane Harvey sit over top of you, you're going to get a ton of rain. If you have a storm like this one that slows down as it makes that turn, you're going to end up getting a ton of rain. That's just as simple as it is. Now, here's the forecast models, and really, really good agreement. I mean, look how close these things are all the way through Saturday night into Sunday. Now, the recon that went in there is really going to help out, because if you look down here where initialized, this might shift a little bit further to the east here. So I wouldn't be surprised if the track comes a little bit further to the east, but there's actually a little bit of a curve westward once it gets out into the southern Gulf of Mexico. Then a curve to the north and then the northeast. The Hurricane Center track seems to have shifted just a touch to the east to be kind of centered on these. That was as of 5 o'clock. We'll get another track at 11 p.m. tonight, another forecast track update from them. So forecast models in agreement. Here's a, I'm going to compare the two models here. And there, the white lines are the GFS. Look at the European, not as strong. At least not as we get into Saturday afternoon. This is Saturday night. But now the European is starting to strengthen this thing. Right? Now look, the GFS is a little bit faster. This is Sunday at noon. And this is the latest run by the GFS. It's much faster. It's got landfall. And I got to tell you guys, this is ugly for New Orleans. Because one of the things that happened in Katrina was we had a lot of easterly wind blowing water up towards Lake Pontchartrain. So they've done a lot with the levees ever since then. So I think it's okay, but like this is not a good setup for them, for New Orleans. So that's the GFS. Look where the European model is down here. But notice the European model is also strengthening it. And then here you go through Sunday night, 9 o'clock. You've got the GFS is now already over land. European's going to go a little bit further to the west, at least this latest run, but still a very strong storm as well. And then it looks like it goes up towards Alexandria. It'll go east of Lake Charles, which is, I mean, Lake Charles, you got to be, you have a storm coming through, but at least it's the northeast to northwest wind that's going to be pushing through the area as it comes through. So those are the forecast models. Now, here's a look at the water temperature, and notice what happens as it moves across the Gulf. Look at all this warm water. You see this right here? It's the loop current. Comes up, comes out, comes down like this. And then what happens is these things can make these big eddies, and they can actually close off and they just kind of drift westward. Remember when we had the oil spill out here? We learned all kinds of things about the loop eddy, that loop current. It's basically getting rid of the hot water that's down in the Caribbean and filtering it all up. That's what Mother Nature's doing. It's getting rid of some of this hot water. It takes it all the way up the Gulf Stream. That's what the Gulf Stream is. But that is providing also a ton of warm water. And in this area right in here where it goes from Cat 1 to Cat 2, I mean, look, you know, tropical storm, Cat 1, Cat 2, especially as it's getting to this warm water, right? That's pretty deep water as well, too. It's not only, the depth doesn't really matter, it's the temperature depth. So at the surface, it's really warm. When you go down, it's still pretty warm, because what happens is you get wind blowing across the top of the water, and it literally blows that top surface water away, and the water underneath has to come up. It's called upwelling, and that water has to come up. Well, usually the water is a little bit cooler underneath, quite a bit cooler. And so if a storm's sitting over one particular place for a while, that cooler water will come to the top, and it'll kind of cut down the energy that it has to continue. That's not going to happen in this area here, because even with that top water blowing away, there's still plenty of 80+ degree water underneath of it to come up. So that argues for it to strengthen a little bit. This is the shear forecast. Shear out here, nothing. I mean, I know you see some of that, but there's a little bit of this, and that's just blowing some of those high clouds away. That's not really over the center. So it looks like, then this is Friday night, by the way. Now watch as we get into Saturday. You know, you just don't see it. This kind of stuff you see here, if it was coming across the center right here, it would just shear the thing apart. That's not the case. And in fact, you get winds out here like this and then winds over here, you're going to end up venting the storm and making it breathe a little bit better. So when the clouds come up and spread out, it kind of sucks it out. It just kind of helps that process go. And so that storm can get stronger. So shear does not seem to be a major issue at this point. There'll be a little bit, but not a whole lot. So yeah, another argument for it being strong. Now, this is the GFS model with the rain and the pressure. And you can see as we get into Sunday morning at 8 o'clock, it's really pretty close to already being there. So if you have friends or family in Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, even if in the panhandle of Florida, especially farther west you go, you want to get the preps done by sunset on Saturday. It's best to do that kind of stuff when the sun's up, when you still have daylight, right? You can get it done Saturday night, but again, if you're planning, have it all done by sunset. So that way you've got your work all out of the way. It's easier to see when you're got daylight. Because as we go through, 3, 4 in the morning, weather's really going to go downhill here if this forecast still holds. Now let's go into 4 p.m. Monday, still raining. Okay, I'm going to come back here. This is 5 a.m. Sunday morning, 8 p.m. Sunday. So 5 a.m., let's go back out. 5 a.m. Sunday morning, it's raining here, southeast Louisiana. Let's go out 24 hours, 5 a.m. Monday morning, still raining there. Raining really heavy to the north of there up in the Mississippi. And then what you don't see is this green you see down here, that's going to be blowing onshore as well too. And that could be training. That could be moving over the same area that's already seen a ton of rain and a ton of wind. There's damage there. There's storm surge there. Yeah, not going to be a good day there. Now by Monday afternoon, you can see some areas are getting some relief. But look, I mean, these bands are still coming in like this. Right, they're still coming in like this and kind of wrapping around up into this. That is very heavy rainfall. So yeah, you don't have as much of a wind threat here. There'll be a tornado threat in here. All the way to the right of the center will be a tornado threat, likely almost all the way over to the panhandle of Florida. And that's as the system is moving onshore. That will drop down here, but you'll keep it up in this area here. So that's Monday afternoon. And then you can see it's going to move off to the north and the east and be a really good rainmaker. These areas of Pennsylvania, Western Maryland, frostproof out there, West Virginia, WVU as well, could be seeing pretty good rainfall out of this thing. And you see, look, there it is. I mean, there's the remnant low of it sitting over the Carolinas. All right, so that is the GFS model. European's not too much difference as far as that's concerned. Let's look at the GFS winds, and you can see how far. I mean, look, there's the western tip of Cuba. Look where the center goes. Most of the mountains are back in here. There's some pretty good mountains in here, although I just don't think this area is pretty flat. I don't think there's much to knock it down. And then as we get into Saturday morning sunrise, here you go. See all these extra lines here. That means the pressure is lowering, it's deepening, it's strengthening. We've got a decent east to southeast wind here. So breezy, I think as early as tomorrow in the Tampa area, right, all the way down to Marco. But then certainly on Saturday with a breezy day, 15 to 25 mile per hour winds. There will actually be some rain bands that kind of brush up against our coast as we get into Saturday. Nothing severe is expected, but some pretty gusty winds could come along with it. And of course some pretty good downpours. But what happens with storms is, you see it's not as organized here. Then watch it get more organized and then even more organized by Saturday afternoon. When that happens, what storms tend to do is they tend to pull in the moisture closer to the center. The wind field will expand if it gets to be bigger, but the rainfall will stay closer to the center. It gets a better shape. So like if this was really weak and it was sitting down here, and we had shear, it would send all this rain our way. We'd be more worried about it. But because it's a strengthening system as it moves in that direction, it's organizing, it'll actually pull the moisture into it. So it'll be looking on radar like you would expect a hurricane to look like. Nice and round, concentric. And then as we get, I think there'll be a little bit of shear up on this side. The model's not showing as much, but I think there'll be a little bit blowing up in that direction. But there you go. That's 4 a.m. Sunday morning. The highest winds just getting to the coastline here. You can see that. Just starting to push into the coastline. And again, this is 10 a.m. Sunday. This timing's going to change, guys, but the bottom line is Sunday. It could be as early as mid-morning, late or early to mid-morning in that area. And we'll see. We'll see if it even has to go, if it goes further west or further to the right. I mean, look, if you're anywhere from Panama City, even over towards Lake Charles, you got to keep an eye on this. Big time. Big time. All right, that's the wind. The wind will die down as it moves on shore. Here's the other threat that we're talking. I mean, storm surge, 110 mile per hour winds. You're talking, and it depends on these areas in here, but 10 to 15 foot of storm surge in some areas. That is a lot. That is a lot, but we'll just have to see. Storm surge is not just wind. It's not just pressure. It's wind direction. Where is it blowing and what's it blowing up against? Is it something like here where it's just stuck? That would put a lot of water up in that area. So it's going to depend on where that center goes, and it's just a little too early to be exact on winds and rainfall and storm surge, all that kind of stuff. So kind of what I'm showing you is just ballpark stuff. It's just way too early to know. All right, so here's the GFS forecast for rain. You can see the heaviest would be right in this area here. Remember, the center basically comes in something like this, right? So it's to the right that we see the heaviest rainfall. And of course, in that area, I just kind of scribbled on that, would have a tornado threat as it comes up as well too. And I think they could extend out into the panhandle of Florida. Where's the dust? No dust to help us out. Here's the system right here. And you can see, like, the dust we had the other day, when it was kind of like the leading edge of that, it was really thick. There's some dust wrapping around, but not a lot. So there's not a lot of dust to kind of dry out the storm. And that dust that's back out over the Central Caribbean, that's really going to stay to the south as well too. Invest 97, you can see it's way up here, just about due east of Bermuda. No issues for that. No forecast models take it out to the north and the east. And then you've got 98, which is out in the Central Atlantic. But hopefully, look at this, hopefully it does what these models are saying. It's getting ready to take a hard right turn and go out to the north. It's kind of just basically following 97 up and out. All right, so that's it. That's where we stand right now. I'll get you back to your Thursday night. If you've got friends or family along the northern Gulf Coast, obviously give them a heads up. I'm sure they've heard about it now, but help them out. Help them out if they can use your help up there. These poor people. You think about Louisiana last year. I mean, just kept getting hit and hit and hit. And right now it looks pretty close to that being the same case again for this particular storm. And I won't even mention what next Friday might bring. Check out the GFS for that one. Okay, guys, that's it. If you have any questions, hit me up in the comments here. Don't forget to like my page. And this is on YouTube as well, too, so you can always watch all my videos anytime you want on YouTube. Just search Bobby Deskins Weather. All right, guys, we'll keep you updated right here. I'll have the latest track at 11 p.m. That'll be on 10 Tampa Bay on TV here in the Tampa area. And, of course, it'll be updated on our website. Just go to 10tampabay.com, 10tampabay.com. Have a good one, guys. Take care.